What's up, everyone? You're here with Goran from Pickdawgz, and you're here for your free picks for Saturday, September 30th. Well, guys, once again, as it usually is the case on Saturdays, we have a lot of games in Europe, especially in the top five European football leagues. We got some games in the EPL, some games in the La Liga, Serie A, League One, and Bundesliga, of course. I believe I have like 20 something free picks for you in this video. And then, of course, there is a big slate of the MLS games on Saturday evening, starting off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 13 games on the schedule. Picks for that you can find in a separate video up on the Pick Dawgz YouTube channel. So make sure you go there, check it out, guys, subscribe, and of course, hit that like button. For my best bets, click the link in the description of this video. That will get you up to my page on the Pick Dawgz website. And there you can sign up, get that daily pass, 3-day pass, or even a 7-day pass if that's something you want. I know that the last couple of days have been a bit bad. We had a couple of losing days in a row. That hasn't happened in a while, but we have a lot of picks here in this video, and I did my best to get you those winners, guys. So let's get this show on the road. Kicking off with the EPL. Aston Villa is playing against Brighton in the first game of the day, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Both teams playing decent football right now. Both teams scoring goals consistently. Brighton is coming off of a loss against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, but so did Aston Villa. They lost to Everton 2-1 at home, and definitely both teams will try to bounce back in this game because they have matchups in Europe next week. Aston Villa in the Conference League, Brighton in the Champions League against Marseille. Actually, make that Europa League, sorry. And like I said, it's very important for them to get back on the positive streak. And I think for that reason, we will see both teams going for the win here, especially if we see some rotations going on to give a break to some of those players. And for that reason, I think the way to go in this game is with with over 3 goals. Minus 159. As we can see, the books are expecting goals. I'm not going with over 3.5. I'm simply giving myself a safety net of a push in case we see 3 goals. So Aston Villa against Brighton over 3 goals. Bournemouth is hosting Arsenal in the next matchup, and I'm keeping this one very simple, guys. Bournemouth still without a single win at home this season, and yes, that win will certainly come, but they haven't won any of their last 3 games against Arsenal, and Arsenal is actually undefeated in their last 11 or 12 games or something like that, and they're coming off of a win against Brentford. So we have to go for a little bit of value here. We have to add goals to the money line, and for that reason, I'm taking Arsenal to win and over 2.5 goals at minus 112. Everton will be playing against Luton Town in the next matchup, and Everton is now on a 2 game winning streak. They're still without a win at home, but well, Luton is also without a win on the road so far this season. They are still without a win, period. And this is a perfect opportunity for Everton to continue their nice and positive streak. So I'm keeping this one simple, guys. I'm going to take Everton on the money line, minus 182. Might not be worth as a single, but definitely very, very good price to put it in a double with something else. Manchester United and Crystal Palace are facing off in the next game, and United is also now on a 2 game winning streak, during which they've kept 2 clean sheets in a row. And that was actually quite surprising, especially in the second game against Crystal Palace earlier this week in the Carabao Cup. And now, once again, they have to face the same team. Now, it's very hard to beat the same team twice in the same week, but Crystal Palace has a ton of injured players, and so does Manchester United. The difference is that Manchester United has more quality on the bench, and they are in the better form right now. So I'm gonna take United over 4.5 shots on target in this one, and that's minus 159. I think we are gonna see Manchester United, who's gonna pretty much be dominating this game, and for that reason, I think we'll have at least 4.5 at least over 4.5 shots for Manchester United in this game. Newcastle will be playing against Burnley in the next EPL game, and despite Newcastle being in a good form, undefeated in their last 4 games, Burnley has been showing some signs of life, and they did get a win in the Carabao Cup earlier this week, 4-0. But even if in the game that they lost, they were decent in that attacking end, and they were decent in creating those chances. And we know that Newcastle, when put under pressure, they do allow a lot of shots on target. So I'm going to take over 2.5 shots on target for Burnley here, minus 127. That line is not high. That's just three shots on target, and I think they can get that without too much problems in this game. West Ham is hosting Sheffield United in the next game, and it's quite clear that West Ham is the better team here, in the better form with more quality. Sheffield actually hasn't won any of their last 8 games. They have a few injured players, they have a few suspended players as well, and they will still be looking for their first win of the season. But West Ham has been quite solid at home, especially uh, where they have one win and one loss so far this season. They have scored 4 goals, conceded 4 goals, and I think that they definitely need a win here, and they will go for it because they are playing in the Europa League against Freiburg next week. So they need to maintain that form. So in this game, guys, I'm going to take West Ham to win and over 1.5 goals, and that is minus 175. Wolverhampton is hosting Manchester City in this EPL matchup, and Manchester City actually suffered their first loss of the season, and that was against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup earlier this week. While Wolverhampton ended up losing their Carabao Cup game against Ipswich, and this is actually their fourth game in a row that they are without a win, and they are now facing this Manchester City team, the team that will get Haaland back for this game, and the team that has 3 wins in 3 games so far on their own this season. So I think this was going to be all Manchester City, guys, and for that reason, I'm going to take City to win and over 2.5 goals, and that's minus 150. This is actually a pretty good price to put it in the double with something else, maybe even that Everton moneyline pick. So get the full value out of it. The last game of the day in the EPL is a big one. It's between Tottenham and Liverpool. Now, we have two teams scoring a lot of goals this season. Liverpool 50 scored goals, Tottenham 50 scored goals. Liverpool has conceded 5 goals, Tottenham has conceded 7 goals in 6 games. Uh, as we can see, both teams have a lot of offense. And the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games for Liverpool have gone over 2.5, and 6 of those, actually 5 of those 7 games have gone over 3.5 goals as well. Uh, Tottenham has been doing a similar job as well. They are pretty much healthy. They are scoring a lot of goals. And I think this is going to be another great game where both teams will go for the win. So I'm going to go with the goals here, and that's over 3.5 goals at minus 102. I think it's going to be a great game and definitely worthy of your time if you're watching it, guys. Now we are off to Spanish La Liga, and we have only a couple of picks for Spanish La Liga here on Saturday. The first one is between Girona and Real Madrid. Now, Girona was actually at the top of the table for a short period of time. They are now in second place with 19 points. They are still undefeated at home this season. They are on a 6 game winning streak right now. During this 6 game winning streak, they've kept a couple of clean sheets. They have been scoring a lot of goals. However, even if you're playing at home against Real Madrid, it's not going to be an easy game. Real Madrid did bounce back against Las Palmas 2-0 at home, but because of the fact they're playing in the Champions League against Napoli, which is a very, very big game for them next week, I do expect them to give a break to some of those players and save them for that Champions League game, which is definitely a good opportunity for for Girona to get a win or maybe even a draw at least at home. So for that reasons, guys, I'm taking Girona on the double chance. It's minus 114. Are they due for a loss? They absolutely are, in my opinion, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen here, even though they're playing against Real Madrid. So I'm taking Girona on the double chance. Real Sociedad and Athletic Bilbao is the next matchup we have going on, and Bilbao has been actually undefeated in their last 6 games. They have been playing quite a good soccer as of late. They have 2 draws and 4 wins in those 6 games. Still undefeated on the road this season, but Real Sociedad is also undefeated at home this season, and they haven't lost to Bilbao in their last 6 home games. So I do understand why Sociedad is the favorite here at home, and there's some additional thing that could go their way. The fact that Bilbao will be without 3 or 4 important players, and they also have that suspended player because of the red card from that game against Getafe. But I definitely think that Bilbao has enough offense to get on the scoreboard here. So both teams to score at minus 117. I think that's the way to go in this game, guys, because honestly, if we choose the money line, I think it would go either way. So I'm gonna stick to the goals. In Bundesliga, guys, the first game of the day we have is between Heidenheim and Union Berlin. Now, I'm gonna keep this one very, very simple. It's been a long, long time since Union Berlin has won a game. They are on a four-game losing streak. They are playing in the Champions League next week against Braga, which is definitely a winnable game for them. And for that to happen, they need to get a win here. They need to get their morale up. They need to get their form back on track. And Heidenheim has been the team that has been losing a lot of games so far this season. So I'm keeping it simple, guys. I'm taking Union Berlin on the money line, and that is at plus 114. Cole and Stuttgart is the next matchup in Bundesliga, guys. And this one honestly has been screaming goals to me. Cole only 1 point so far this season. They have been horrible defensively. They are struggling with scoring goals, and that's everything opposite of Stuttgart. Stuttgart has scored 6 goals in their last 2 games. They have scored overall so far in Bundesliga. They've scored 17 goals in 5 games. That's an average of over 3 scored goals per game, guys. They are conceding quite a bit on the road. They have conceded 6 goals in 2 games, and for that reason, I'm not choosing the sides in this one. I'm gonna go with over 2.5 goals, and that's minus 143. I honestly think this is a steal of the day, guys. The price might still go down a little bit as we approach the game time, but at the moment, minus 143 is probably the best we can get, and I will take it, guys. Mainz and Leverkusen will be facing off in the next matchup in Bundesliga, and Mainz, also one of the worst teams in the league so far this season. Without a win in their last 5 games, they are in 18th place with only 1 point so far this season. While Leverkusen actually is firing on all cylinders right now. Leverkusen is one of the most effective teams in Bundesliga so far. 17 scored goals, only 6 conceded goals. That's just over a goal per game. And on the road, they actually play a better defense than they're playing at home. So I know that Leverkusen is also playing in the Europa League next week, but that game is on Thursday against Molde. And right now, they are actually the closest team to Bayern, and I think that they might be the team that's going to be the biggest challenge to Bayern Munich this season in Bundesliga. Uh, I think that Leverkusen will come out on top in this one. So I'm going to take Leverkusen to win and over 2.5 goals. That's plus 112. I think that's a great price, and we simply cannot pass this price up. Bochum and Borussia Mönchengladbach is the next game, guys. And here we have two struggling teams. Bochum hasn't won any of their last 11 games. Gladbach hasn't won any of their last 6 games. Both teams are conceding a ton. Both teams are conceding consistently. But both teams still can score goals, especially against those weaker teams. So both teams to score an over 2.5 for me. This one minus 139. I think that might actually be worth putting in a double with something else because it might be a little bit of a riskier pick with both teams trying maybe to focus a little bit more on the defense, but I still see goals in this one. So Bochum against Gladbach, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Wolfsburg and Eintracht is the next matchup in Bundesliga, also 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, guys. And Wolfsburg actually is coming off of a loss against Dortmund 1-0, while Eintracht is coming off of a 0-0 draw against Freiburg. And before that, they have beaten Aberdeen in the Conference League 2-1. Uh, I mean, Frankfurt also hasn't lost any of their last 12 games. And on the road so far this season, they have 0 wins, 2 draws, and 0 losses. They have scored only 2 goals, which is potentially a good sign for Wolfsburg, the team that has been solid defensively, especially at home, with only one conceded goal so far. But I don't know. I just see both teams scoring in this one, and that's what I'm gonna take. It's minus 148. I think it's gonna be a very competitive game. I don't necessarily expect a lot of goals, but I definitely see at least 1-1 in this game, guys. And I think it's gonna be a very hard-fought battle for both of these teams. The last pick in Bundesliga, guys, it's a big derby between Leipzig and Bayern Munich. Now, both teams on a winning streak. Leipzig has won their last 9 home games in a row. They are now on a 6-game winning streak. Bayern Munich, on the other side, is on a 3-game winning streak. They have scored 15 goals in those 3 games. They have kept 2 clean sheets. But as we saw in that game against Manchester United, they are quite sloppy on that defensive end, especially if they have a huge lead. They tend to relax and lose focus. And I think that Leipzig is one of those teams that will know how to take advantage of that. When these two teams meet, we usually see goals. We usually see a lot of them. And I think this is going to be the case here as well. despite the fact that both teams are playing in the Champions League next week, especially for Leipzig, who's playing against Manchester City. And they do have a few injured players. Both teams do, as a matter of fact. And I think that we might expect a bit of a rotation, but more importantly, their strikers will be in the starting lineup for sure. So I see goals in this one, guys. I'm going to take over 1.5 goals in the first half, minus 102. I think that's a fantastic price. And honestly, I think this might be one of my premium picks for the day. So Leipzig against Bayern Munich, over 1.5 goals in the first half. Off to the Italian Serie A, guys, and we have Lecce playing against Napoli in the first game we are going to talk about. Napoli finally back on the winning track. They are actually now undefeated in their last four games. They have scored four goals against Udinese. It seems that their offense is back to kind of producing chances and scoring goals. Osimhen has been in amazing form, and they definitely deserve to be the favorites that they are here in this game. Lecce so far at home this season undefeated, three games, three wins. However, they are coming off of a loss against Juventus 1-0, which was quite disappointing because I did expect them to score at least a goal. And on top of that, they have a suspended player because of the red card, and they have a couple of injured players. I'm not saying this is going to be an easy game for Napoli, but I see them coming out on top. So I'm going to take Napoli on the money line here at minus 134. Milan and Lazio is the derby of the day in Serie A, guys, and I think it's gonna be a good one because Lazio seems to be back on track once again. They are undefeated in their last three games, but when playing at home, Milan hasn't lost to Lazio in their last four games. Now, that doesn't mean they are gonna win this game, even though they haven't lost any of their last seven home games overall, and they are now on a two-game winning streak. I know that the books are kind of steering us towards AC Milan at minus 139, but I'm not willing to take it, especially because Milan is playing in the Champions League next week against Dortmund, and Lazio is playing against Celtic in the Champions League as well. So I do expect a little bit of a defensive performance from both of these teams. So guys, in this game, I'm gonna give it a shot with a draw plus 270. I I wouldn't be surprised to see a nil-nil game, but realistically, I'm looking at a 1-1 to be honest, and that's why I'm going with the draw in this matchup. Salernitana and Inter is the last game of the day in Serie A, guys. And Salernitana, only 3 points so far this season. They haven't won any of their last six games. And I know that Inter has lost to Sassuolo earlier this week 2-1 at home. But this is a chance for them to bounce back, especially because they will need that good form. They will need that goal scoring effectiveness against Benfica in the Champions League next week. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think that Inter is going to come out flying. I think they will try to bounce back. I think they will try to get a win here. So I'm going to take Inter to win and over 1.5 goals, minus 175. Maybe I'm being a bit cautious here with that over 1.5 goals, but I'm not sure I'm willing to push this into the over 2.5. So instead, I'm taking Inter to win and over 1.5 goals. The last two picks of this video, guys, are in the French League One. We have Clermont playing against PSG, and Clermont at the bottom of the table, only 1 point so far this season. It's obvious that the quality is on PSG's side, and they're now on a two-game winning streak. And in both of those games, they've kept a clean sheet. They've scored six goals. They are producing goals quite consistently right now. They are solid in finishing and scoring. Their defense is a bit sloppy, but luckily for them, Clermont doesn't have a lot of offense going their way. So, with a bunch of players out for PSG because of the injuries, and I suspect that Mbappe might be taken out maybe in the 60th minute if he's going to start this game, that is, because they're playing in the Champions League next week against Newcastle. There's going to be one player that's going to be at the center of the attention, and that's Colomwani for PSG. So I will take Colomwani to score a goal at plus 225, which is an insane price if you ask me for a striker. So Colomwani to score for PSG at plus 225. The last game of this video, guys, is between Monaco and Marseille. And I'm keeping this one very, very simple. We have two teams that are scoring a lot of goals overall this season and two teams that are scoring a lot of goals as of late. I know that when you look at the standings and you see Marseille scoring only seven goals in six games is not a lot. but they lost to PSG 4-0. They need to bounce back. I know there's a lot of trouble happening in Marseille with the fact they don't have a coach yet. They don't have the general manager or something like that. So they're making all these moves, and they might be a little bit less focused on soccer right now. But then again, Monaco on the other side is quite sloppy defensively. They have conceded 8 goals in 6 games, and for that reason, I'm gonna take both teams to score in over 2.5 goals at -132. Should be a decent enough derby to finish the day in the French League One, and that is between Monaco and Marseille. So both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining me here. These were free picks for Saturday, September 30th. Have a great day, guys. Good luck with your bets. And of course, like I said, stay tuned for more free picks coming up to the Pickdawgz YouTube channel soon.